Max and Lisa had always been the couple everyone admired. Married for a few years, they'd built a life based on mutual respect and understanding. Max trusted Lisa implicitly, and when she asked to go on a vacation with her best friend Jess, he didn't hesitate to let her go. After all, she had gone on trips with her friends before, and everything had always been fine. But this time was different. When Lisa returned from the trip, Max noticed something had changed. She seemed distant, almost like a different person. She didn't greet him with the same warmth, and her once lively demeanor had dulled. At first, Max brushed it off, thinking she was just tired from the vacation. Maybe it's post-vacation blues, he reasoned with himself. But as days turned into weeks, Lisa remained cold and detached. The intimacy they shared faded, and Max's suspicions started to grow. One night, while they were sitting on the couch, Max decided it was time to bring it up. "Hey Lisa," he said casually, trying to keep his tone light. "You've been kind of different since the trip. Is everything okay?" Lisa barely looked up from her phone, shrugging slightly. "Everything's fine, Max. Why do you keep asking?" Max smiled, trying to add some humor to the situation. "Oh, I don't know. Maybe because it feels like I'm living with a clone. Did you swap places with someone while you were away?" Lisa chuckled lightly but didn't engage further. "You're overthinking things, really. I was with Jess the whole time. You know that." Max's smile faded. "Yeah, but you just feel different. You've been quieter, distant, like something's on your mind." Lisa looked at him for a moment, her eyes narrowing slightly as if she was considering something. "Max, you're imagining things. Everything's fine. Work's just been stressful since I got back." Max sighed. He wasn't satisfied with her answer, but he didn't push further. The last thing he wanted was to start a fight. But the feeling of unease gnawed at him, and it wouldn't go away. A few days later, Jess came over for dinner ***. Max saw this as his chance to get some answers. Maybe Jess could shed some light on what happened during the trip. After all, they had been best friends for years. Dinner was pleasant enough. The three of them laughed and chatted about random things, but Max noticed how Jess avoided talking about the vacation in Mexico. His curiosity piqued. He decided to bring it up. "So how was Mexico?" Max asked, keeping his tone casual, but observant. Jess paused, her fork halfway to her mouth. She glanced at Lisa quickly before answering. "Oh, it was great. We had a blast. Beautiful beaches. Good food." Lisa shot her a look, one Max almost missed, but he caught it, and now his mind was racing. Something was off. "You guys must have had a lot of fun," Max said, pushing a little more. "You were gone longer than usual." Jess shifted uncomfortably in her chair and took a sip of her wine. "Yeah, well, we were just relaxing. Girl stuff, you know." Max could feel the tension in the air. He smiled, trying to keep things light. So nothing exciting happened. No wild adventures. Lisa shot him a sharp glance. But before she could say anything, Jess spoke up again. "Nothing too crazy. Just the usual vacation stuff." Max knew they were hiding something, but he couldn't figure out what. He decided to try a different approach. "You know," he said, leaning back in his chair, "Lisa's been a little different since you guys got back. I figured you two had some kind of wild time, and she's just recovering from it." Lisa's eyes flashed with annoyance. "Max, seriously. Stop making a big deal out of nothing." Jess laughed nervously. "Yeah, Max, we're fine. Just girls being girls." But the way Jess said it made Max's stomach turn. There was something she wasn't saying, something they were both keeping from him. He decided to let it go for now, but his mind was spinning. A few weeks later, Max couldn't take it anymore. ***. Lisa was still distant, cold, and indifferent to him. Every time he tried to bring it up, she brushed him off. It was like she had built a wall between them, and he was helpless to break it down. One evening, after another awkward and silent dinner, Max couldn't keep it in anymore. "Lisa, we need to talk," he said, his voice firm. Lisa sighed, setting down her glass of wine. "About what, Max?" "About us. About whatever's going on. I can't do this anymore, Lisa. You've been different. I feel like I don't even know you anymore." Lisa stared at him for a moment, her expression unreadable. Then she laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Max, you're being paranoid. We're fine. Everything's fine. Max shook his head. No, we're not. I've given you space, I've trusted you. But something happened during that trip, didn't it? Lisa's face hardened. Max, nothing happened. You're making things up in your head. Max leaned forward, his eyes searching hers. Then, why do I feel like you're not here anymore? Like you checked out of this marriage? Lisa looked away, avoiding his gaze. I don't know what you want me to say. Tell me the truth, Max said, his voice rising slightly. Whatever it is, just tell me. I can handle it. Lisa was silent for a long moment, and Max's heart pounded in his chest. Then, finally, she spoke. Max, I met someone. In Mexico. Max felt the air leave his lungs. He had suspected it. But hearing her say, it was like a punch to the gut. Did you? Max couldn't even finish the question. Lisa shook her head quickly. No, it didn't go that far. But, I don't know. I felt something, and I've been confused ever since. Max sat back in his chair, stunned. So what? You're in love with someone else. Lisa didn't answer right away. I don't know what I feel. Max felt anger rising in his chest. And what about us? What about our marriage? Lisa looked at him, tears welling up in her eyes. I don't know, Max. I'm sorry. Max stood up, his hands clenched into fists. I trusted you, Lisa. I let you go on that trip because I trusted you. And now you're telling me you're in love with someone else. Lisa shook her head. I don't know what I'm feeling, Max. I need time. Max stared at her, his heart breaking. Time. We've been together for years, and now you need time. Lisa wiped a tear from her cheek. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. Max felt the wave of despair wash over him. He couldn't believe this was happening. His marriage was falling apart right in front of him, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. In the following days, Max felt numb ***. He couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and couldn't think about anything else. His mind kept replaying their conversation over and over, trying to make sense of it all. Jess called once, asking how they were doing, but Max couldn't bring himself to talk to her. He had a feeling she knew more than she was letting on, but he didn't want to deal with it. Max knew that his marriage was hanging by a thread, and he wasn't sure if he could save it. Comments from readers. _wow. That story really took a turn. I could feel Max's frustration and confusion. I think we've all been there and we can sense something is wrong, but we can't quite put our finger on it. Lisa's behavior was so suspicious. You can really tell that there was something going on with Jess too. It makes you wonder how deep their lies went. The part where Lisa admits to meeting someone in Mexico. Brutal. It's like she didn't even try to hide it once she was confronted. Poor Max. The tension in the story was so well done. The little details like Max joking with Lisa and trying to keep things light really added to the heartbreak later on. I wish there was more closure. What happens next? Does Max forgive her? Does Lisa choose the guy from Mexico? So many questions.